Hi, my name is Joseph. Today I'm discussing the evolution of the Progressive's Flow. It's a case study on Progressive's Flow campaign. A little introduction. Flow was created back in 2008. She's kind of a quirky, fun-loving, zany character. Very excited and energetic about selling Progressive insurance. She's been featured since 2008 in over 100 commercials. I think close to like 150 or more. And that's just on advertisements on TV. It did start as a single ad spot initially. A few commercials, her character was the one, and it's blown up ever since. She's a cashier, a salesperson, and maybe a pop cultural icon now. A little introduction again, as said, is she debuted in 2008. It was created by a Boston ad agency, Arnold Worldwide, and played by an actress named Stephanie Courtney. She's known for her extreme enthusiasm and upbeat personality. Some might say she has absolute positivity. She wears pristine white, no wrinkles uniform, heavy makeup, and a retro hairstyle. In the beginning, it was more of a pleasant accent. Progressive's initial goal for the campaign was to make shopping for insurance a pleasant experience. But Flow was not meant to be the star. The ad agency actually built the Superstore to be the star, which was this imaginary place where it made the intangible tangible. It was a clean, open market where insurance was shoppable and salespeople like Flow offered help. The role of Superstore was to make the, again, intangible tangible, said the Progressive CEO Glenn Renwick. In the first commercial, Flow appeared as a cashier and the actress ad-libbed her line, which sort of stole the spotlight from the Superstore platform. It was funny and it instantly made Flow a hit. She was relatable and an enjoyable star. In essence, Flow was an accident, but one that Progressive was ready to build on. Flow growing up, she had an expanding world. She did really well for sales in the first year or so, but the fatigue began to set in around year 2 in 2010. And Progressive felt the need to either abandon Flow or take a new approach to her altogether. New leadership joined Progressive, and in November of 2010, in 2010, Progressive had already begun experimenting with supporting characters, but the new CMO, Mr. Charney, decided to take things a step further with Flow and expand the world she existed in outside the Superstore in an almost sitcom-type platform. It began with Flow on a date, which was kind of a nod to the fan-based crush that people had on her. Then it went on to different flashbacks, her childhood, various adventures, some sidekicks, Jimmy the Superstore boy, and eventually to Flo's family, where the actress playing Flo acted as every member of her family, and it showed this crazy dynamic between all of them. It was very fun. The online presence of Flo, she has 4.5 million plus followers on Facebook, which is her biggest platform. It carried out a plan. Progressive actually had carried out a plan to connect the brand to more channels by building on an internal marketing department that gave Progressive hundreds of various channels to expand their marketing campaigns. As of August 2018, the Facebook page has more than 4 million followers, and that's to include Twitter that has almost 50,000 followers, and there are multiple websites dedicated to her on Instagram. And just to put that in perspective, Twitter, she has 50,000 followers, and Progressive has 45. The future, though, in the last few years, she has kind of dwindled down. They have scaled her back. But she's still there. She's been involved in well over 100 ads and likely won't be around for 100 more, but the impact of Flow cannot be overstated, as we shall talk about in a moment. The campaign. What was the goal? Well, the initial goal of the campaign was to make shopping for insurance a pleasant experience, because most people find shopping to be tedious, nerve-wracking, anxiety-inducing. It just was not an enjoyable experience. So it was created to illustrate an environment that would show that shopping for insurance was a pleasant experience, to steer the impression people have it being steer away from being tedious or giving anxiety. It was also set up in the way that the intention of giving the marketing department a platform to build multiple storylines and characters in which they could give them endless opportunities to build on. But the action was actually carried out. In 2008, several spots were aired, and the focus of commercials was really intended to be the Superstore, but it was bright, it was clean, non-threatening, and it featured helpful, friendly, progressive customer service personnel, and one cashier as well, her name being Flo. The reaction, though, to the commercials or the campaign was very positive, but it was focused around Flo. But it wasn't exactly for the reason the marketing department had intended, because they had wanted it to be around the Superstore. The character Flo became the focus, and people loved her. She was funny and quirky, and viewers related to her humor as the campaign evolved. The concept of the Superstore surrounding Flo was leveraged to build on Flo, So many characters were used, but it was all developed around her character, and it was very successful. So social flow, flow, wherever I go. So Progressive's Funky Protagonist had been leveraged for multiple other platforms, such as Sprinkles Are for Winners, which was a social media campaign that started as an episode, and the name of which Flo ad-libbed. There was The Switch, another digital campaign featuring LeBron James' alter ego FloBron, kind of play on Flo. It accrued 114 million media impressions. Progressive has also leveraged its social media presence with Flo to sponsor motorcycle rallies, boat shows, sponsoring more than 300 events over the last several years. And most of that just expanded after the introduction of Flo and Progressive building on her presence. In 2015, it was reported that from 2012 and 2015, the brand had direct interaction with more than 3.9 million consumers through those events. In addition to the millions through its social media campaigns, largely built on one person, a character named Flo. So you can see Facebook, 4.5 plus million, 100 plus ads, countless print ads, 50,000 followers. So the pros and cons of Flo. Well, let's get to the point. Let's point out the obvious. It definitely increased brand awareness and increased in sales. Following the direction of Flo and subsequently after revamping her image in 2011, sales increased significantly for Progressive, increasing the value of the company by upwards of 37% just the first 3 years alone. Since 2011, the company value has almost doubled since then. What didn't work, though, the overload of Flo. It set in a fatigue that was tied to a lull in the gains, which fell to 2% in revenue compared with 3% in 2009. 2% in the gains compared to 3% previously, according to annual reports. And that was followed by the Flo fatigue, as the company likes to call it, which climbed in 2011 prior to the revamp. The opportunities, though, Progressive began an advertising movement in the insurance world that really took off. Allstate responded with the Mayhem campaign, for example. Progressive took what Geico did with the Gecko and made a pop culture icon. They were able to leverage this a lot more than Geico ever could. Going forward, Progressive is building on this role by focusing on the other characters, such as the goofy sidekick Jimmy, who has been front and center recently, and using Flo as an online presence more than ever to answer questions about insurance, to get potential customers engaged with Progressive online community and what it has to offer. Progressive has integrated its mascot Flo into the YouTube videos and social games on Facebook, and Flo may not be front and center anymore, but the company is still leveraging every ounce of her to connect consumers and potential customers to Progressive. Impact of the Flo factor. Well, early on, revenue picked up in 2009, increasing market share by 2.1%, which was a huge jump. It was a positive turn in subscriber to Progressive's insurance plans. Personal policies themselves increased by 5% in the first quarter after. And fandom around the character was a positive impact for Progressive, just giving it a really positive vibe and image and kind of a new trendy look. The impact on revenue. As of this year, reports the company is valued at over $23 billion, and prior to Flo, it was valued at only $8.5 billion. 13 million subscribers as of 2018, and it's one of the largest insurers in the U.S., and revenue continues to grow and it's projected to continue to grow steadily. The impact on the brand is, like I said, it's been positive. There's a global recognition now. It has expanded in foreign markets such as Australia. Australia even has their own character fashion Flo named Kitty. It's instantly recognizable, and it's a clear association to Progressive. They sponsor various sports events and music events, and they've even come to get major celebrity endorsements, such as Oprah Winfrey. So next to Flo, Oprah is the best. So summary, Progressive does have twice the revenue and a larger market share than before. It's a strong positive brand image, and it's widely recognized. It's positioned itself into a global expansion, and they've created all of this from a pop culture icon. Honestly, the status of Flo is that of the same as the Maytag guy, the Palmolive lady, or the Geico Gecko, and she surpassed it. So that's it. I'd like to take any questions. I know nobody can ask me questions, so I thought I'd come up with a couple myself and answer them for you. So first question, were there any other marketing campaigns prior to Flo that Progressive or other companies might have used that were successful? Well, yes and no. Geico did start using the Gecko back in 1999 and the Caveman skits long before Flo was ever introduced, and they were well received. But what Flo did was create the imagery that insurance was a positive thing to obtain or shop for, and it did it in a very likable way. The skits were quirky yet informative and related imagery that was pleasing and not stressful. True, the Geico campaigns were very successful for Geico, but it couldn't say if they've been able to leverage those characters in the same way that Progressive has. Since then, Progressive has used many other characters, but Flo has been a primary marketing tool. All right, next question. What kind of money did Progressive pour into the Flo campaign? Well, like I said, the company since 2008 has almost doubled. Sales have been revenue has been increased or gained to 3 to 7 or 8% yearly. That being said, it's probably worth the investment. I can't be sure, but a couple articles mentioned upwards of over $150 million when they did the revamp in 2011. And they've been to expand her world outside the superstore, really. I think it reflects the bump that Progressive got, which, as I said, Progressive has doubled its value, and their sales have increased year after year. Or their revenue, I'm sorry. Last question. Is it true that Flo is the greatest marketing character ever? Please, no stupid questions. Of course she is. That's it for my presentation. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.